Here's testimony from Christopher Krebs, the former top federal cybersecurity official.
I think that continued assaults on democracy and the outcome of this election that only serves to undermine confidence in the process is ultimately, as you both have said, ultimately corrosive to the institutions that support elections. And going forward, it will be that much harder.
The dismissal of Krebs in the wake of the election comes as the United States is facing another threat. As the New York Times put it, quote, hackers who American intelligence agencies believed were working for the Kremlin penetrated government systems and said that the cyber offensive was a, quote, grave risk to the federal government. Those revelations sparked outrage on Capitol Hill, including from Republican Senator Mitt Romney.
National security is extraordinarily vulnerable. And in this setting, not to have the White House aggressively speaking out and protesting and taking punitive action is really quite extraordinary.
Rachel, has the president spoken out at this at all, publicly or privately?
No word from the president on this front, and so many questions remain on the things that the president is silent on when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to the pandemic. Of course, the president seems to be laser focused on trying to overturn an election that he lost. Look, the White House says the president, of course, is monitoring this, but you hear even Republicans coming out and saying that we need to be focused on this, that this is an emergency situation, especially when we talk about that this went possibly undetected for months on end. Even Republicans here are sounding the alarm, and President-elect Joe Biden even cautioning and urging that we need to get to the bottom of this.
Rachel, quickly follow up here. Are you hearing anything from the Biden camp about how they want to handle Russia once Biden takes office?
Well, Joe Biden has said it repeatedly on the campaign trail that someone like Putin does not want him in office because he says that he knows that he is tough. But, listen, they have accused the President Trump of trying to cozy up to someone like Putin. We know that President-elect Joe Biden wants to take a little bit of a tougher stance there, but they came out today and said that this would be of utmost concern from them. They want to get a handle on this situation. They're sounding the alarm as well.
Jonathan, what's the significance of this Russia hacking story? You've done some reporting about the Trump administration shaking up personnel at the Pentagon. What's the status of how the Trump administration is handling this?
Well, they were caught off guard, and it's one of the biggest intelligence failures in modern history. And it's a huge, wide-scale attack that the agencies are still trying to figure out how far this goes. And the timing could not really be worse, because what we reported this morning is that last night, this is in quite an extraordinary moment, the acting Secretary of Defense sent out a missive across the Pentagon, an order to stop meetings with the Biden transition team. They cancelled all meetings today. And this was the Pentagon tried to spin this in, frankly, quite a laughable way today, trying to say that it was business as usual. This was a mutually agreed upon decision for the holidays with the Biden people. Completely false. The Biden people did not want to pause briefings and transition during a cyber attack at a time when the nation's security is so vulnerable. They want to continue apace. This was not a mutual decision. And in fact, it was a decision that was discussed last night with the West Wing. So far from a routine decision, this was motivated to a large extent, I'm told, by sources in the administration, by anger at the Biden team, blaming them for a week that a story that your newspaper printed, Bob, the Washington Post, your colleagues Josh Dorsey and Nick Miroff scooped on Wednesday night. A story about how much money they would save on the border wall. And the Trump team, without any evidence, blamed that on the Biden transition. They went into a complete fury about it. And that's part of the animus that they have towards them, which was already there.